Cloning! I will clone myself to make a personal slave and a best friend. It worked! It's alive!
This is not accurate.
But this is accurate.
On this episode of Science Today, we're featuring two guest stars, Isabella Johnson. Hi! And Rose Montgomery.
Hello.
They're here to tell us about cloning. So girls, what is cloning?
So clones are organisms that are exact genetic copies. Every single bit of their DNA is identical.
How would you clone something?
Clones can happen naturally or in a lab. There are two different ways to clone a living thing in a lab.
The two different ways to clone something are artificial embryo twinning and somatic cell nuclear transfer.
Do tell, go on.
To create a clone by using the artificial embryo twinning method, you mimic the process used to make twins in nature. To use artificial embryo twinning, you must split an embryo and let it develop for a short while in a petri dish. Lastly, you place in a surrogate mother, the woman who volunteered to give birth to the clone.
To create a clone using the somatic cell nuclear transfer, you remove the nucleus from a somatic cell and keep the nucleus. Then remove the nucleus from an egg cell and discard the nucleus. Now there would be a lone nucleus and an empty egg cell. These two pieces are then fused together and the nucleus is reprogrammed to its new host cell. The egg is then given a shock of electricity and then it forms a blastocyst, or an embryo that has about 100 cells.
This was a method used on the famous Dolly the sheep.
Oh, are there any more interesting cloning stories? Or some things you'd like to add?
Well, like I said, Dolly was the first cloned mammal and got huge press attention. She was born on July 5th, 1996 in Scotland and died around 7 years later of a natural cause, unrelated to the cloning process.
But since Dolly, many other animals have been cloned, including a gore, a type of wild ox, which was the first endangered animal to be cloned. Even though it died 48 hours after it was born, its cause of death had nothing to do with the cloning process.
This was a great discovery to scientists everywhere because it meant that endangered or possibly even extinct animals could potentially be saved by cloning.
Wow, this is very interesting. So, are there many misconceptions about cloning? Do you think you could share a few of these myths with us?
Well, one of the most common myths about cloning is that the results are instant. Just like any child, a clone starts as a baby and grows at a normal rate. For example, this means a clone of a 30-year-old man would always be 30 years younger than the original man.
This crushes a kid's dream of having a clone to do its homework.
I'm not a kid, but I still dream.
Another misunderstanding about cloning is that the clone would have the same personality as the original being. Although the clone is an exact genetic copy of the original animal in every way, personality is also based on how you were raised.
I never realized there was so much to cloning. Well, unfortunately, that wraps up our show for today. A special thanks to Rose Montgomery and Isabella Johnson. Hope you learned as much as I did. See you next week. Wow, that was an interesting talk show.
Yeah, let's change the channel.
Oh, hey, this game show is about cloning too.
Find that word with our new contestants, Sally and Patty. Our new topic is cloning. And our first word is embryo.
I know this one. Embryo, an unborn offspring or child. Darn it.
500 points goes to Sally. Our next word is egg cell.
Egg cell, female reproduction cell. That's not fair. She has quicker reflexes.
And another 500 points for Sally. And our next word is somatic cell.
Yes! A somatic cell is any living organism that does not transmit DNA to the next generation.
Correct. 500 points goes to Patty.
Yes.
You go, Patty.
Yes. Rabbit.
And our next word is blastocyst.
A blastocyst is the stage of an embryo when it has about 100 cells. Whatever. It doesn't matter anyway. I always win.
finally some competition. Another 500 points goes to Patty. Yes! Arrived to the finale. This is a life or death round. Whoever gets this word first will receive 1,000 points and win the entire game. And our final word is cloning.
No. Clones are organisms that are exact genetic copies. Every single bit of their DNA is identical.
No! That wraps up our show for today on Define That Word. Yes. Contestant Sally has won the game.
No.
And contestant Patty is our runner-up. See you next week.
Thanks for watching our video. I hope you learned a lot about...
Love.